The story begins by presenting a narrative about the history of two kingdoms that are now at war with each other. In the 16th century, the Mughal Empire successfully won the Battle of Panipat and continued its dominance into the 17th century. Their power expanded further under the leadership of King Aurangzeb, or simply King Aurang. He was a ruler who imposed unreasonable laws that made the people live in fear, and no one dared to oppose him. However, amid that oppression, a brave figure emerged from the Maratha kingdom, King Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj, who rose up to fight against Mughal tyranny. And this is King Aurang. At the moment, he appears to be sitting casually while knitting. Not long afterward, someone arrives bringing the news that Shivaji has died. That news is, of course, a joyful one for him because the enemy who had long been an obstacle is finally gone. In the city of Burhanpur itself, which served as a city of the Mughal Empire because it functioned as both a trading center and a military headquarters, a fortress guard named Khan was seen receiving a report from his subordinate stating that he had successfully collected high taxes from non-Muslim residents in the territory of the Maratha state. Not long after the report was received, a roaring rumble shook the entire city. Then a soldier shouted that thousands of Maratha troops had launched a surprise attack. Upon hearing this, all the soldiers immediately rushed toward the main gate of Burhanpur city. Upon arriving at the front gate, the Mughal forces were instead shocked by a deception. Because what came was only thousands of riderless horses. Realizing that this was merely a diversion, the soldiers immediately rushed to the rear gate to check the condition of the area there. The Mughal warriors quickly lowered a barrier to block the road that would be used by the Maratha forces. The prince of the kingdom, Shivaji's son named Shambhu, led the battle, and with great confidence he leapt over the barrier. As a result, some of the Maratha troops who witnessed Shambhu's action began creating a path by using their shields on top of the barrier. In the midst of the ongoing battle, Khan arrived carrying a weapon and quickly eliminated some of the Maratha soldiers. He then began confronting Shambhu and took him into a room. And yes, Shambhu fell into the trap set by Khan, causing him to fall directly into the lion's enclosure. The next day, Shambhu's stepmother named Sayarabai was seen with several of her subordinates gossiping about Shambhu, who had now successfully razed the city of Burhanpur, which made them very angry because it would be very difficult to make Tram Rajay king even though he is Sayarabai's biological son. On the other hand, Shambhu's return from the battlefield, bringing victory, was immediately welcomed by his wife named Maharani with a very festive traditional ritual. Long story short, the day of Shambhu's coronation arrived, held in a very grand celebration where everyone came to celebrate the return of a king who was exactly the same as King Shivaji. Elsewhere, Mirya was watching the battle between his subordinates and the Mughal forces, when shortly afterward two troops arrived and immediately attacked him. In the midst of the hardship currently affecting Shambhu, he also has to accept the bitter reality that some business partners from other kingdoms have instead turned to King Aurang. This, of course, makes Shambhu angry, leading him to order his subordinates to deploy 10,000 troops to King Aurang's location, while also requesting that each regional leader meet him later in Sangameshwar. When they were about to leave, one of the soldiers revealed that the fastest route to Shambhu's location was the path currently being used by the Mughal forces. This greatly surprised him, as that route was known only to people of the Maratha kingdom. Although the number of Mughal troops was very large, that did not make them able to defeat Shambhu, who continued to recklessly slaughter almost the entire Mughal army. Seeing this, Ganoji and Kanoji suggested tying Shambhu's hands in order to defeat him. In the Maratha Kingdom Palace, the Maharani is now worried about her husband's safety after learning from one of the soldiers that her husband is currently in the hands of King Aurang due to the actions of her own brother, who is willing to betray him. This makes Maharani Sayarabai very sad and she wishes that both of her brothers had never been born. On the other hand, Shambhu and his companion were taken to the Mughal royal headquarters, where upon arrival they were both tied to a pillar. However, not long after, King Aurang approached them and ordered his soldiers to torture Shambhu along with his companion. Shambhu was once again subjected to torture, this time his entire body was covered in salt. Yet again and again, Shambhu showed not the slightest sign of pain, which left the Mughal officials shaking their heads in disbelief. Various forms of torture had been inflicted on Shambhu in an attempt to make him cry out in pain. However, none of it had any effect on him, so King Aurang decided to cut out Shambhu's tongue. The torture finally ended with Shambhu's death, and Tram Rajay was then appointed as the successor to his elder brother as king.